All right, so there's a couple sides to me that people don't realize. Yes, I am a nerd. Most folks don't know that. I love to play chess. Most folks don't know that. But there's, right or wrong. Most of you know me as Repo Ron, but in the evangelical circles, I'm known as Revelation Ron. I love to dig into the Bible and honestly just share things that are very interesting. I truly believe the Bible is the greatest book ever written and can come alive more than any Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings book or movie, depending on how you take the time to study it. So today I want to talk about something called ELS. Now, keep in mind, this is just interesting evidence, okay? This is not a foundation of faith. This is not a get saved video. This is just something that's really interesting that really, entices me to want to study more. So ELS stands for equidistant letter sequence. And basically what it is in any type of writing, you can find words at certain intervals in the text. So say it might be the 50th letter, 100th letter, 150 letters. In prison, a lot of inmates will actually use ELS to communicate with each other. So they'll write a 4-page letter and they'll have a code. Every so many words is a letter that correlates with another word that they can spell and talk to each other and try to be undercover. So that's what this is. The funny part is you find this all throughout biblical text. So the one I'm going to talk about today is in the Torah. Now, for you that do not know, the Torah was written by Moses. Moses, as even people who don't read a lot of the Bible, that's the gentleman that delivered the Hebrews from Egypt, from the Pharaoh, and the Red Sea parted, and etc. But Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. Okay, he wrote what's called the Torah. And the Torah consists of 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Most scholars believe the Torah was written between 3,200 and 3,400 years ago. So you kind of do the math on that, put you around 1,400 to 1,200 BC before Christ. This is, when Moses was becoming a prophet. He was one of the major prophets. But this is just really cool to me. So the first thing you have to understand is we're using the Hebrew text here, okay? We're using the original Torah. We're not using an English translation or a King James translation or an Ethiopian Bible. We are using the actual scrolls from Moses' writing, okay? They still have those. They were found, I believe, in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So we're going to use the actual Torah, which is the Hebrew text. That's why this is really, Bo, this is cooler than a polar bear's paw. And we're going to use all the first 5 books of the Bible. So you have to understand also that numbers mean everything when you're trying to translate biblical text. Numerology and numbers are the largest component to understanding text, especially the book of Revelation. In ELS, today we're going to talk about numbers. So one of the numbers for completeness is 7. The earth was created in 6 days. Man was created on the 6th day, and on the 7th day, God rested. So there's a 7-day number there. Here's an interesting little fact. There's 24 hours in a day. Where do we get that from? Scientifically, that's one revolution of the earth. There's 365 days in a year. Where do we get that from? Scientifically, that it takes 1 year, 365 days for the earth to go around the sun one time, okay? How many days in a week? 7. Where do we get that from? The only place you will find the origin of 7 days in a week is in the Bible. That's where it begins. The oldest written text is Genesis, and it is where 7 days a week is mentioned. So that's just interesting. Again, this isn't a foundation of faith. It's just kind of nice to note little things like that. So 7 is a very significant number. If you get into the book of Revelation, the number 7 is used more times than any other number throughout the book of Revelation. So 7 is probably one of the most prominent numbers there is. So we're going to use this 7 because when we do this ELS in the Torah, it really changes things. Now, the other thing you need to keep in mind is in the Hebrew text, there are no vowels, okay? So what we spell with an A, they don't use A's. There's just no vowels in the Hebrew text. However, O or is not a vowel in the Hebrew text. So the Torah is spelled T-O-R-H. That's how they spell Torah. The O, though, in Hebrew is not a vowel. So we're going to take the first book of Genesis. Now keep in mind, Moses writes these 5 books. And all language flows from Jerusalem. Now why do I say that? Because if you'll take and split the world down the middle, most everything to the left of Jerusalem, everyone reads right to left, like we do, right to left. But if you go the other way to the east of Jerusalem, everybody reads left to right. So it's backwards, and it kind of splits right down through Israel. Everything to the right of Israel is left to right. Everything to the left of Israel is right to left. It's really important to remember when we talk about this. So if you would take the book of Genesis, and you'll take and you look for the seventh letter, there's nothing interesting there. But the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet is Tav, a T in our language, but it's Tav. If you go to the first Tav, and then you go 7 squared, which is 7 times 7. So you go 49 letters, the next letter is O or Ah. You go 49 letters, the next letter is Resh. You go 49 letters, the next letter is Hey. Torh. From the first Tav, 49, 49, 49, you spell Torah. Okay, coincidence, I get it. Let's go to the second book, Exodus. If you go to the first Tav, again, the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and the Bible clearly says that God is the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. Of course, he's using the Greek alphabet, but in the Hebrew alphabet, that would be Tav. You go to the first Tav, and again, go 7 times 7, 49 letters. You'll find Oh. Go 49 more, you'll find Resh. Go 49 more, you'll find Hey. Now we're going a little past coincidence. Could Moses have structured this? Yes, but to make the text make sense would be really, really hard. I mean, keep in mind, you're writing an entire book and you're trying to hide letters in there and still make the text bleed. But okay, let's go with coincidence. So then you go to Leviticus and you get in there and you look at the first Tav and you go to the 49th letter, the 49th, nothing. So now, you're probably breathing a sigh of relief going, yeah, okay, it was coincidence. So we'll come back to Leviticus. Let's go to Numbers. Now in Numbers, instead of going to the first Tav, because remember, to the right of Jerusalem, to the east of Jerusalem, they read right to left. So let's go to the first Hey. And when you go to the first Hey and you go 49 letters, you find Resh. You go 49 more, you find Ah. You go 49 more, you find Tav. That's Torah spelled backwards. But the way they read, it would be spelled properly. Okay, we just hit coincidence again. Now we're 3 out of 4 books in the Torah. Let's go to the 4th book. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Go to the first Hey, 49 letters to Resh, 49 to and then you'll find a Tav in there. And now we have Torah again spelled backwards. Again, they read right to left. So now, the first 2 books of the Bible are spelling Torah in an equidistant letter sequence. The last 2 books in the Torah, the last 2 books in the Torah spell Torah in the same equidistant letter sequence. So there's got to be something in Leviticus. There's just got to be. I mean, it doesn't make sense for there not to be something in Leviticus. And you get to study in Leviticus. And there's nothing in the 49th letter. But remember, we did 7 squared. So let's try 7. Well, if you go 7 letters, you'll find a Y. 7 more, you'll find a Hey, an H. 7 more, you'll find a W. 7 more, you'll find another Hey, an H. 7, 7, 7, 7. What does that spell? That spells the unspeakable name of God. Nobody truly knows how to pronounce it. The Hebrews will not say the word Adonai or Dana, but Adonai is the word for God. We also call him Jehovah. Some people pronounce it Yahweh or Yahav. Some people pronounce it Yahweh. I choose Yahweh. I think that's as close a pronunciation as you're going to get. We spell it with A's in the English language. So it would be, Y-A-H-W-A-H. But in the Hebrew language, it's Y-H-W-H. So now what you notice is, using the equidistant letter sequence, the first 2 books of the Torah spell Torah. The last 2 books of the Torah, spelled backwards, spell Torah. And the entire Torah points to Yahweh, which is the center of life. Is it coincidence? Anything can be coincidence. I mean, that's the way it works. But the fact that came out when Moses did not even know that people were reading a different way on all parts of the world makes it nearly impossible to predict that could happen. And the fact we're using the original text, this isn't some English translation, Latin translation, Greek translation, just really, really makes it interesting. And again, like I said, man, this is not a foundation of faith thing. This is just cool evidence in the Bible that makes you want to look into it. Now, I would love for somebody to get on here in the comments and try to disprove this. Go get your Torah, look it up, check the numbers, check the Tav, the O, the Resh, the Hey. This is what communication is for, and the Bible says iron sharpens iron. So if I'm wrong, then tell me I'm wrong. But I encourage you to research it for yourself, because you can't just take what people say at face value. I mean, that makes about as much sense as having a pregnant pole vaulter in the Olympics. You got to research it yourself. You got to check it out. I truly believe also that because Yahweh is the unspeakable name of God, that the first sound you make when you come out of the womb is you breathe in. You suck a breath. And when you pass away, the last sound you make is an exhale. All the air leaves your lungs. And I truly believe, and it's nothing biblical, just what I believe, but if you want to pronounce the name of God, it's the first and last breath you take. Those sounds are the unspeakable name of God, which means when you come in this world, you're speaking God's name. And when you leave, you're speaking God's name. Just something fun to think about. A little side note from Revelation, Ron. And remember, you just got licked.